Hello viewers, SuperGT here. Welcome to the video. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've had a very nice Christmas and hopefully got all of the gifts you could have ever wanted. Now we finally return. I think it's been 4 or 5 days since the last video, so it's been a while. Had a couple of days off to recharge, to chill, and to eventually come back with another video. And here we are. Now, one thing in this video which has been cried out for in many recent weeks is the FIA intro. It's going to return. We'll see that in just a moment. But at the moment, we are looking at my qualifying lap. So this is round number 2 of the exhibition season 4, here at Kyoto. Difficult track this, and not one that's very easy to get right. Lots of very long corners and lots of tricky little chicanes too. So this is my qualifying lap in the Porsche 911, of course, in Group 3. So this point here, sitting in 8th position, just under a second off of the very top time. As you come over this crest, down the hill, down these flying S's, very quick succession of corners, difficult to get right, and you might have to lift at the bottom there just to get through. Over there, going very slowly into the final turn of the lap. As we come through, it's going to be just over 1 minute 30, I think about 90 seconds roughly this lap. There's a straight line, the run to the line, and it's going to be at 1:34.5, a quarter of a second quicker than our previous lap time. Puts us 9th at that point there, but actually 10th on the grid, as we can see here. So very close qualifying, just 6 tenths off of the lead. But this is what you've been waiting for, so roll the intro.
He is one of the worst players out there. With the record of over 30 crashes, 6,666 6th place finishes, and 20 rage quits. The only real thing I know, he will bottle this race.
Quite an introduction. I hope I don't bottle this race. But we are about to find out. So a mix of cars, as you can see there. We've got the Porsche on pole position, but then we've got the Supra, the McLaren's actually up there, a couple of Mustangs, Subaru just behind me, Aston Martin in front, and a Mercedes. So a fair range of cars being used here, which is always good to see. 13 laps, Kyoto, from the middle of the pack, exactly in the middle of the pack, 10th out of 19. 9 in front, 9 behind. Let's see if we go forwards or will we go backwards. So that is the key question. It's going to be a close one. So as I say, it was only, I think it's just under 7 tenths from first to where I am. Not much at all. If I improved by 2-3 tenths, which isn't too much, then could have gone up quite a few positions. So through the hairpin, it looks like the Atenza's going to be sliding out and into the wall. Disaster of a first lap for that guy. And Gonzo up ahead has got a penalty. I'm not sure that was, in fact it was really hard to tell exactly what kind of caused that incident there. Might have to go back and watch that in slow-mo. But there's another one here, the McLaren now off, the TX3 driver, as he rejoins. They're going to gain another position from the McLaren, and now another position from Gonzo, who's had a bit of a nightmare there, getting a penalty in the process as well. So from 10th to 7th, and it's not even been a lap. That is a rather nice return. So now just going to tuck in behind the Mercedes and the Aston Martin ahead. Now this track is notorious, I think, for its tyre wear because of the nature of the corners. You've got corners like this, really long corners that just seem to go on forever. And what that does, of course, is it just murders your outside tyres, which makes the tyre wear just a really big problem around here. As we go to the inside, up the on the Mercedes, the move's there, and we've just hit the apex nicely. A bit of a slide on the exit. I think we avoid contact, and we get the move done. Up into 6th place already. Hopefully we don't add to our 6,666 6th places in this game. Hopefully you do and get away from as many 6s as possible. But then into the hairpin and going a little bit deep. So as I say, actually, Mercedes going back for a move there. I've lost a bit of ground there to the guys ahead. As I say, the tyre wear is a massive problem here, a massive problem. So I think the 2-stop may well be the strategy to do. One for the medium tyre. You have a choice of 2 compounds around here. Normally you get the soft as well, but here just the medium and the hard. I think if you did a stint on the soft, that would honestly last like 2 laps. It just would not be worth it at all. So here, perhaps, if we do a 2-stop, we're looking at lap 4 and 8, or lap 4 and 9, or 5 and 9, and that should see us through. And maybe even go into the hard tyre for the longer stint, because of course we have an odd number of laps here. So coming down through the S's, Bert's here in front with a slower second half to the lap. So he's dropped off the back of the guys ahead. The Dragan and Cobra battle just up ahead for 3rd and 4th. As we round out the final turn, now come across the line to end the 2nd lap. So it's gone rather well so far. The top 2 are pulling away, so Quinton and Hero Graham. Up the inside we go. It's a strong move, contact, not a clean move at all. I've just kind of just bundled him out of the way. Aggressive Super GT is coming out to play now. The Aston Martin actually looking for a way pass on the way into this right-hander. The car sliding through. Now this is where the tyre wear begins to get a little bit, or not a little bit, but quite bad. Very hard to manage. Gone a little bit deep. The Aston Martin's going to undercut me on the way out. Get the better traction, is he? It looks like he is. I'm going to have this left-hander here, but then he's going to have this longer right as we go down this hill. So I'm going to back out. He's going to have that position. And there's a bit of awkward contact behind. He got really close between the 3 of us. And unfortunately I have to go into the wall, take evasive action. I keep going. I've got no damage, thankfully. But I've lost maybe 3 or 4 seconds and a handful of positions. Back down to 9th. It's just going to be one of those races, I think, where everything is just going to be going on. People on different strategies, and it's just going to be really hard to manage exactly where you are each given moment. So at this point here, fighting with the McLaren who had an incident at the same corner a lap or 2 ago. So going to tuck in behind him, let him go ahead. And coming down through here, he's going to get a massive tank slabber into the wall. Let's have a look at that again. The car slides, he corrects it, but corrects it too much, and just goes 90 degrees straight into the barrier. Now we can fast forward this lap here, as it was a fairly kind of, well, non-eventful lap, as I was maybe about a second or so off of the BMW driver in front, and at the same time about 2 seconds ahead of the person behind. But the main thing to look at is the tyre wear at the bottom left of the screen. The front left in particular getting really rather worn by this point. So this means we are going to go in for our first pit stop and peel over to the right hand side here and go in, and there we are. So we're going to change over to another set of mediums, no need to fuel, and we can resume the race. Where are we going to come out? This is always the interesting part. There are people coming down the pit straight. We've come out just ahead of the McLaren. Quite an awkward exit there as you kind of rejoin on the racing line. And we just about get ahead of the McLaren, who's now being swarmed by the drivers behind. So that McLaren driver had the incident earlier by smashing into the wall, and he's pretty much lost a pit stop's worth of time. So I've come out ahead of him just. I mean, that's how close it was. I was literally side by side. If I was half a second slower going in, then I may well have lost that position. So that's a bonus, I suppose. That's a plus. Coming through the chicane, difficult chicane to get right, as proven by the Hyundai driver just up ahead, running 2 wheels or all wheels onto the grass, losing a lot of momentum, and we go back into 10th on lap 5. Now it's always hard to tell. It's one of those races where people are doing different strategies. Some pitting on lap 4, some on 5, some are going for 1 stop. So it's really hard now to really tell who's at what stage of the race. If you start gaining on someone very quickly, as I probably will do at this point here because I'm on fresh tyres, then you can probably tell that the other people aren't on new tyres. You see just how quickly I've caught up with these 2 guys here, the Mercedes and the Subaru. In fact, the Subaru is just hemmed in right behind. I'm going to take advantage, go to the left hand side, go around the outside. The Mercedes peels to the right hand side, goes into the pit lane. I don't think the German there in the Subaru will be quite happy about that, losing a lot of time on the final turn, and then a position to me. So at this point here, up into 7th. This is the second lap of this stint. I'm just scanning ahead. There's a big battle there, and someone's just gone across the grass, and I couldn't quite capture how that happened. But there he is. That is Quintin, who was the pole sitter. And well, it's obviously all gone wrong for him. It's just completely unravelled. He was on pole position, so he was at one point leading the race, but now just dropping right down the order, as I couldn't quite really see what happened there. He cut across the grass for whatever reason. Might have been forced into it, or his tyre wear was just absolutely shocking. And well, he's tumbling down the order. So I've resumed my 6th place. I just wonder if the guy who comments the percentage of time I spend in 6th place is going to make his typical comment. But I think this might be up there, this race. And looking ahead again, as we normally are, well, I mean, it's a good idea to look forwards. I'd recommend it rather than looking backwards in a race, because obviously, you know, you travel forwards in a car. Unless, I don't know, maybe there's a reversing championship out there, I don't know. We're coming through here, we've caught right up with Cobra in the Mustang, and he's fully embroiled with a battle with the guys ahead, or he was at least. The Subaru's come for a move on me, make some contact with Cobra, kind of edge him out of the way. I think he's going to go to the pit lane. He was looking quite slow there, actually. So I'm going to go up another position, up into 5th. So okay, at this point here, it's looking quite good. It's looking okay, but again, we just don't know what the strategies are, and of all the other drivers. It could very well change from here to the end. Let's whip forward just a little bit here. Lap 7, fairly uneventful. It's one of those laps where you're trying to catch up. We do have the Subaru driver just behind us in close attention. But at this point, keeping it comfortable, with still one more lap left to go on this stint at least. We could do lap 8 and 9, or just go in 8 at the end of 8. But then we would have to do 5 laps on the next stint, which is going to be obviously a lot harder, because we're doing 4 as it is, and at the end of the 4th lap, the front left tyre is just absolutely shocking and crying out to be changed. So coming down into the 90-degree right, nice corner this, maximise the curbs. Let's really keep it smooth on the exit here. Move over to the left-hand side once again, looking for the curb on the left-hand side as go in there. Normally a good braking zone, a braking point, should I say. And on the way out, I sensed that the Subaru was very close to us there on the way in. I think we would have lost a little bit of momentum on the way out. So quite a close race this. Just looking at the map, top 2 pulling away, a couple of seconds they have the advantage by. In fact, the guy in 2nd is the Mercedes I was battling with on lap 1 and 2, so he's done really well. Obviously managing his tyres extremely well, and just keeping them in check and not really losing too much time to the tyre wear. So he's done very well, that driver. But looking behind on the map as well, we've got maybe 4 or 5 drivers within a couple of seconds. So I can't really begin to start resting and taking it easy, because I will easily lose a couple of positions. Plus we've got people on other strategies who could come into play later. So the Mercedes driver from 2nd goes in, and as do 3rd and 4th and 5th where I am, so I'm going to go in and get the job done on the pit lane. We're actually going to get jumped as I put in a tiny amount of fuel, as I think I was under-fueled there. So I put in like another 3%. I think that was just enough to lose a position here to Dr. Hash, who was behind. Now look how close it is up in front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people within sight, just in front. So this race is going to get really, really close here into the final stages. This is the final stint now. I'm not going to come back into the pit lane. This is our final stop. We've got to do 5 laps on these tyres though, which is the hard part. And someone is off the track there, the BMW driver, and gain a position, go from 9th to 8th with potential to gain a couple of more positions. And coming in here, just take a really awkward line in. Going to get out nicely though. And just, oh my god, we've made that crucial mistake and dip 2 wheels beyond the curb. It's going to flick us around like a violent fish. I'm fishtailing everywhere, and this is just the unfortunate nature of the controller. I think it's just really hard to catch those slides sometimes. If you catch it really early, then you're okay. but you can see that I was just violently fishtailing for an eternity. We'll get under control eventually. This is lap 10, we're going to scan forwards. You see that I've just got a purple sector. So at this point here, really on the front foot, perhaps taking too much life out of the tyres, but we are catching this group up ahead. So the battle for 4th has 3 players in it, just in front, and perhaps I'm going to be joining that to become the 4th player in that fight. So, okay, so the top 2 are a long way away, and actually looking ahead, the Dr. Hash up the inside of Burrs, who was up the inside of Cobra there. So they went 3 abreast for a second there, and that actually resulted in Cobra being shoved wide onto the grass, and he's going to lose out big time. So once again I find myself in 6th place, so I have this magnetic attraction to it as we go into the hairpin. So the race is beginning to intensify as we get into the final stages now. It will get hard though with the tyre wear. That is something I do have to drive around. The fact that front left and the rear left, to be fair, well, all the tyres are going to be pretty bad, but the front left especially. There's a big slide there, but keep it under control. The front left is going to be so bad, so going into the right-handers is going to be very, very difficult, or become increasingly difficult to keep the car under control. And it's not the situation you want to be in really at the end of the race, but that's the way it has to be. Okay, so over the crest we have Gonzo right behind us. So Gonzo's had a mixed race as well. So I think, to be fair, a lot of people in this race have had mixed races. We've all had lots of mistakes, or some sort of crash or contact or a penalty. So even though I've had luck with people crashing, I've had a couple of little mistakes at the same time. So Dr. Hash trying to evade the slipstream, it's not quite happening. I can potentially go for a move here into turn 1 off the inside of Burrs. We did it earlier in the race, albeit with contact, and it's not quite going to come off this time. He defends the position. Can we go for a move on the way out? Not really worth doing, so I'm going to back out here, let him resume up ahead, take the normal racing line, and we can keep on the tail of the Subaru driver. I'd imagine that the Subaru is actually fairly easy to drive at this stage of the race, and even with the tyre wear. That car is just very much on rails. It feels like anyway. So with 1.5 laps left to go, we've got a 4-way battle here for 4th, and it's quite hard to tell exactly which way it is going to go. I'm suffering from a lack of grip, but then again I'm keeping up, so I imagine that these guys are in exactly the same boat and they're experiencing the same problem as I am. And you can see scanning behind Gonzo in the Nissan right on our tail, so we could just as well go forward as we could go backwards. And coming through this turn, just keeping the position, but you can see the car sliding slightly as Gonzo ominously looking for the position, looking for the way past, and he wasn't quite on there. Settling in behind through these S's, you realistically want to go through here single file. There's not really much room to go side by side. Looking up the inside, the space opens up. Can I quite edge away in? Not really. As we look for, again, maybe a move on the way out. Don't want to push him onto the grass, and we almost do, as I had to catch that slide. I have to go defensive here, tuck it into the slipstream of the Aston Martin. Gonzo moves to the right hand side, and we're going to go onto the brakes and go straight into the back of Burrs, and as a result of contact, kind of awkwardly on the brakes, and actually going to the side of Gonzo as well. So kind of smashing the hell out of every player I see at this point here. Really, really on the back foot, I think, with this tyre wear. And Gonzo's actually going to nip underneath and get the job done to go back into 6th place. He did qualify, I think, around about that position, or maybe higher. So he's kind of recovering. He's in a race of recovery at this point. So at this point here, I think I'm very much struggling. The fuel is looking okay. We should be able to get to the end. But the tyres is really, really difficult. Really difficult to drive on these tyres at this point here. So I wish for Christmas Santa could have bought me some better tyre wear. Unfortunately, he couldn't fit it down the chimney. So I'm going to have to make do with my atrocious tyre wear saving skills. Although once we make that transition over to the wheel, I think things should be a little bit easier. That's the big target for 2019, I think. Just try to make the transition, improve our tyre wear, improve our pace, improve our consistency, and see what we can really achieve on this game. I think the controller is coming to the end of its life, maybe. It was fun control. It was fun DS4, but maybe we have to say goodbye to you, my friend. But there we go, coming out of the final turn in 7th. A really mixed race, but you know what, I enjoyed it. It was good fun. So some mistakes in there, but some good luck as well. So a bit of a mixed fortunes race, but we gained positions. We went from 10th up to 7th. Might have been 4th at best without a couple of mistakes, but ultimately it wasn't without mistakes. It was 7th in the end, and I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you so much for joining me as always. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the race, on the video, and on the intro, of course. If you're new to Gran Turismo, which you may well be after getting it for Christmas perhaps, then well, welcome to the game. Maybe subscribe if you want to see more racing on this game, and of course Forza Motorsport, you may well have got that too for Christmas. But that's all from me today. Thank you so much for watching. I shall see you next time. Goodbye.